Hear that? It's the crack of the bat, the most distinctive sound in American sports. It triggers 1,000 memories of victories and defeats, of half-forgotten childhood dreams. It's the sound of baseball, a game that's part of the fabric of American life like nothing else. No other game has so rich a history or has produced so many national heroes. Each spring, baseball comes alive again. It reasserts its special kind of beauty, shoulders other sports out of the headlines, and reestablishes itself as our national game.
NBC Sports Spring Special, Baseball 88, A Fresh Start, is brought to you by the U.S. Army. Learn how to get an
1988. There's nothing quite like it in this country. The hype, the rookie phenoms, the pulled hamstrings are a surer sign of spring than the robin. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert. And this year, NBC Sports has been touring the training camps. As part of our report, we'll be checking in with members of our baseball broadcast crew for different points of view on what might be taking place in this upcoming 1988 baseball season. Let's take a moment and go around the horn.
Basically, the spirit in the spring is one of optimism for the players, the coaches, the manager, even for the writers and broadcasters looking forward to the thrill of another year. But the key word for all of us is perspective. The manager can't afford to worry if the team loses too many. Maybe he'll make moves that are not necessary. He can't get inflated if they win too many. Maybe he thinks they're better than they are. And the same goes for the broadcaster. Perspective. I haven't seen any Mickey Mantles, but you'll hear there are some in spring training. I haven't seen any Sandy Koufaxes. You'll hear there are some in spring training. Perspective, perspective, perspective. That is, if you're going to be honest. If you're going to be a salesman and sell a car with 3 tires on it and close your eyes to the rim, okay. But if you want to be honest and fess up and tell it straight, then hold on to that perspective. It's only the spring.
Spring training is a great time of the year because the standings show that everybody is equal. But when that season starts, the tools provided by the general manager really put the managers on the spot. Lasorda has a new guy named Gibson. John McNamara, they say, is 5 games smarter with a guy named Lee Smith. Tony La Russa has a murderer's row. But then again, how would you like to have a job knowing that you're on the bench and 9 guys on the field have your future in their hands?
Joe, the manager and just about everybody else is ultimately responsible to the owner. And for these money men and women this time of year, they are hoping that this turns out to be a Tom Cruise kind of season, one in which they've made all the right moves. For the owners, this is definitely a business. And in this arena, good business means winning.
Gil, sometimes spring training means survival, especially if you're a middle infielder. On some of these rock piles of infields in Florida and out in Arizona, too, you try and clear the field of all the pebbles in front of you to eliminate those bad hops so that this little white rat, as Casey Stengel used to call it, didn't hit you somewhere. For the hitter, well, veteran or young player, you're looking for nice fat fastballs about belt high out over the plate that you can mash. So spring training means different things to different people. A veteran to get in shape, the young player, a very competitive situation.
And, Tony, from the fans' perspective, there'll be talk of great hitters like Tony Gwynn, Don Mattingly, and Wade Boggs taking a run at 400. Mark McGwire flirting with 50 home runs. Vince Coleman with another 100-steal season. Can Eric Davis become the first ever 40-40 man? And considering the fact that there hasn't been a repeat pennant winner in either league since the 77 and 78 Yankees, there's the prospect of 4 wide-open, exciting races and chances for millions of fans to make all kinds of noise.
There's the pitch. Swing a bouncing ball to God. He has it. Close to Herbert. And the Twins are baseball's world champions. The world champion, Minnesota Twins. The fantasy season for the Minnesota Twins culminated some 5 months ago. But the journey of series MVP Frank Viola was just beginning.
Frank Viola, you and the Twins just won the World Series. What are you going to do next? We're going to Disney World.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a chat with Mr. Frank Viola. Okay. Frankie, our team won the World Championship this year, and of course you were named MVP of the series with a couple great pitching performances. And everybody saw your commercial about Disney. Tell us a little bit about what you did, if you did go to Disney.
Yeah, I did go. I went there for a few days. Had a great time. Kids had a ball. Kathy and I had a good time. But there was just one problem with that whole thing.
What is that?
I can't get rid of this guy.
You wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. Anything your heart desires will come to you.
So Frank Viola can't shake the gooster. It's the biggest untold story of the spring. The second biggest untold story, the Twins themselves. Everyone knows they won the series, but their players are hardly household names around the country. With only a few opportunities for national commercial campaigns, the Twins remain the no-name world champion.
The thing that hurts us the most is that we don't play in a big city where there's a lot of notoriety and a lot of media coverage. So, it just wasn't there for us to get.
I think if I was playing in the East Coast or the West Coast, I might have a different answer for you. But playing in the Midwest area, the notoriety that we received during the championship and World Series was the first time that's ever come around for some of us. And it was nice from that point. But as far as changing everything, no, I haven't done any major endorsements or anything like that. So everything's virtually the same.
The same is not true of the attention the Twins get at home, where they are recognized with the proper amount of respect.
The biggest thing is walking into a bar now everybody wants to buy you a drink, where last year they always made me pay. That was one thing. The wife calling me by my first name rather than another thing.
Being from Minneapolis and born and raised there and stuff like that, and playing for the Twins all my life, it's been pretty tough for me all about as far as going around the Minneapolis area and trying to eat or whatever without being recognized. This year was probably multiplied by 10. Driving down the street, people recognize you, almost smash the cars up and stuff. That's been the biggest change, just the recognition part.
My kids saying, "Oh, there's Dad, he's a winner," rather than 5 years in Cleveland. They said, "Oh, Dad, there's Dad, he's a loser."
So the Cinderella Twins set out in '88 to repeat as world champions. But even before the season starts, they're getting no respect. With the Oakland A's, here's Joe Garagiola.
The Oakland A's have made a lot of changes with trades and free agents. You talk to some, they say murderers row. They really improved their power. Others say it's the pitching that's improved. But to many people, they are the team to beat in the West. Last year, rookie home run sensation Mark McGwire led the Oakland A's from also-rans to almost division champions. And this year, manager Tony La Russa has his own version of the Yankee murderers row that had Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig in the lineup. The middle of the A's lineup now includes Jose Canseco, Don Baylor, Dave Parker, and Mark McGwire. Pure power.
We look back at the great clubs in the early 70s with the A's and found that they were winning 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4 games where they out-homered the other club. Forget about any other statistic, and I know that sounds simplistic, but the point is that that's how the great clubs won in the early 70s.
Sandy Alderson, your general manager, has made you guys the favorite.
I thought they did an excellent job this winter going out and getting Parker, getting Baylor, Welch, that young, Ron Hassey, Glenn Hubbard. I think it shows one thing. They want to win.
The Parker trade may be the key. Dave had some good stats with the Cincinnati Reds, but he became available after manager Pete Rose accused him of not providing leadership.
I just think it was just a case of pointing the finger and who was more convenient to point it at than myself. I know I read a paper where Peter made some statement about how can I not want them to win the series and us playing the series against Pete. Now, well, I have no loyalty to Cincinnati. I gave him my 4 years. I gave him a productive 4 years. My loyalty is to Oakland, and I do believe, honestly, by sitting here and saying that Cincinnati will finish in 3rd or 4th place this year.
The Oakland pitching staff got a leg up over the winter with the addition of Bob Welch from the Dodgers. Welch gives the A's staff a depth it lacked last year.
Pitching, frankly, is what's given us more credibility than anything else. I think the acquisition of Bob Welch has caused people to sit back and say, now, wait a minute, this team has improved itself.
When Oakland traded away shortstop Alfredo Griffin, they looked to rookie Walt Weiss as his replacement. Weiss is an important little man on a team of giant sluggers. if a fight breaks out, you're the target. They're all going to come after you.
I know that. I just hide right behind Canseco, no problem. I've thought about that already.
One place where the A's are deeper than any club in baseball is at the bar, the legal bar. Both LaRussa and General Manager Sandy Alderson are lawyers. Do you two guys sound like Perry Mason when you try to build a ball club?
No, I don't think they allow profanity in the court. So I don't think we'd make out too well in there.
I use more of my Marine Corps language than I do my Harvard Law School language when I talk to Tony. So, in fact, one of the things I think has been important over the last few years is to try and make people comfortable about the fact that I am a former lawyer. You can't act like a lawyer or talk like a lawyer and expect to fit in with any business, particularly baseball.
We'll be back after these messages.
The 87 season witnessed a team long on heart defy the odds and bring a city its first ever World Series championship. Now a new chapter in baseball is about to be written as the Twins meet the Blue Jays or the Mets face the Phillies. The tradition is here. The memories are waiting.
The Twins' World Series win was only one of last season's surprises. It was a year marked by the unexpected. Folk singer Dick McCormick, who's been doing baseball songs for us over the years, takes a look.
This here's the Talkin' Nostalgia 1987 baseball season blues. When the season started, we were still transfixed by the tragic magic they call Game 6 when the Red Sox met their moment of truth, the tenacious Mets and the Ghost of Ruth. And in New England, they'd already opened the champagne. But 87 was its own kind of season with its own kind of rhyme and its own kind of reason. Holdouts for bigger salaries who started the year as absentees and settled for more or less what they'd been offered in the first place. In 87, there were more guys walking with the strike zone trinket and all that balking, sandpaper, nail file, scuff balls, and spitters. Still, 87 was the year of the hitter, and even home runs lost some of their sheen as the exception became near routine. What's that, another home run? Ho-hum, ho-hum. I wonder what that bat's made of. Now, some might say that piddling in bottles is no fit job for a big role model, but the Mets had to start without Dwight Gooden because there are some things you shouldn't put in your nose. There's some things you shouldn't put in your mouth, like your foot. We saw that bird whose fate was cursed. We saw Lloyd Mosby stealing first, but the weirdest side, it seems to me, was Steinbrenner's equanimity for a while at least. Hell, nothing lasts forever, especially Steinbrenner's equanimity. Now, in postseason, old St. Lou taught the arrogant Giants a thing or two and then found out what poor Detroit went through when they got a case of Twin City blues where all the ball players are above average. No shy persons in that part of Minnesota. And as we watched the season end, we thought of things that might have been a series in Canada, who knows when, or a Subway series once again. The Indian uprising that vanished in air, Milwaukee's surge that went nowhere, Paul Molitor who hit them so we thought he might catch DiMaggio, and Mark McGuire, a robust youth who for a while kept pace with Ruth. And amidst the tears and fears and cheers, some guys had one hell of a year. Jeff Leonard, Don Mattingly, Mike Schmidt, Santiago Coleman, Ryan Clemens, and Boggs. This is now, that was then, and it's time to do it all again. The resurrection of us all, the mighty rite of spring. Play ball.
That was then, but this is now. In order to get ready for opening day, players once used spring training as a time to get into shape. Today, it's more of a process of fine-tuning one's baseball skills.
Players are definitely working out year-round now, staying in shape, reporting in shape.
They all have programs during the winter. I know when I played, when the season was over, I'd drop my glove and spikes and went to Vero Beach the next spring. But today, ball players kind of work their year-round during the, the off-season.
Now they make a lot of money. They're very conscious of their physical, physical conditioning. And most of them come to spring training in better shape than they end up in September because of the grind of the season.
Training styles and techniques have also changed over the years as baseball technology has grown more sophisticated.
The main difference in spring training probably now is better facilities. The parks are more wide open. Some of them didn't have outfield fences. Some of them had very small clubhouses. You could hardly take turns taking showers, and and it was just different.
Nothing was ever organized like it is today, and you never got any batting practice. I know I never got any. If we got to hit 10 balls a day, that was... Now they'll hit 300 if they want to.
300 is about the number of fans that used to attend preseason games, but nowadays spring training has become big business.
Spring training has evolved into a major part of people's vacation from the north. And to me, the amazing thing is just what it means to the Chamber of Commerce. These games are all sold out just about. The crowds are enthusiastic, and spring training has become a part of vacation culture just as much as Disney World.
Back with the National League West after this. Basically the same look, but they feel they're strong enough to hold off the challenges of the Dodgers, the Astros, and the Reds.
Last year, 15 years of losing came to an end for the San Francisco Giants. In 2 seasons, Roger Craig turned a 100-loss team into the National League West Division champs. The Giants looked like a team that was headed for the World Series, only to lose to the St. Louis Cardinals in the National League Championship Series.
I saw that high slider to Jose Oquendo, and I threw up.
Was that the biggest disappointment in your great career?
I think so. Getting so close and coming so far in such a short period of time and then being $1 short, Joe, is terrible.
The Giant disappointment is real. They were supposed to win it, and they didn't. Now this year, outside of Brett Butler in center field, it's the same starting 9. The scar of not having won that championship series from the Cardinals is pretty deep. At least you would think so until you talk to Roger Craig.
Sometimes the best club doesn't win the playoffs of the World Series. We came so close. We kind of smelled the roses. We didn't pluck them. But I think all the things we gained by that experience, the maturity, will make us a lot better ball club, and I can sense it already now.
Collectively as a group, we sort of huddled together there at the hotel in St. Louis that night. The city was obviously in celebration, but those horns just dug in you like a knife. And there could not have been a better way to motivate ourselves. If you look back and think about those horns in St. Louis and the deep pains that those horns caused, I think, if anything, there's a sense of urgency in this camp.
Things are optimistic in Scottsdale. The Giants have a rallying call. Remember the horns. The team that won 90 games last year is back, and they've added Brett Butler.
He's the consummate leadoff hitter. I want him on base. Once he gets on base, he'll be the key that starts the ignition, because I think we've got tremendous power on our ball club, and I think Brett will set things up for us.
But pitching is what got Roger Craig here, and this year's staff makes Roger Craig talk of championships.
We won the ERA championship last year. We should be even better because I have the Rushells, the Draveckis, the Robinsons, the Lefferts, and all those guys to start with.
If the backbone is pitching, the hack man, the LCS most valuable player, Jeffrey Leonard, is the player who gets the attention. What is a Jeffrey Leonard?
I think I am hard on the outside and soft on the inside. I'm a kind guy, but on the field, I'm having fun. If I can do anything to upset another ball player or, the opposing pitcher, I'll do it.
I once asked you what Jeffrey Leonard's like, and you said, if you invited me to your house, would you tell me that again?
I said, if you invited me to your house and your wife baked a cake, and I had a piece of it, and she asked me how it was, and if it was a rotten cake, I would tell her. I'm that type of guy. But basically, the message was that I like to be up front.
You supposedly have 5 different home run trots. Is that accurate?
I may have a little more than 5. The way I look at it is I don't hit enough home runs to be a hot dog. I don't hit enough home runs to think that I'm, God's gift to this earth. But I do hit enough home runs to have fun. It's just creativity, and it's how I'm feeling at that particular moment, and it's not trying to show up anybody. I'm just having fun. Whether it's my flap down or my sling or real slow trot, which I use on the Dodgers.
Well, I'm glad that Jeffrey Leonard saved something for the Dodgers, because in the last couple of years, not too many people have been saving anything for the Dodgers. But this year, it could be different in Los Angeles.
Don't count on it.
Yes, things are changing for the Los Angeles Dodgers. The usual calm that surrounds manager Tom Lasorda's team has been put on hold, while the old guard has been replaced with new faces, scrappy disposition, and an overall change in the once constant Dodger blue philosophy. Off-season trades and free agent acquisitions are in stark contrast to the formerly reliable farm system that stocked Dodger teams for decades. For the new Dodgers, the transition hasn't been easy. Vince Scully is with the Dodgers' Tommy Lasorda.
The Dodgers went from world champions in 1981 to division champions to 1985 and also ran distant back in 1986 and 87. They open up 1988 and make headlines with recently acquired Kirk Gibson being furious over a practical joke supplied by another newcomer, Jesse Orozco. So needless to say, there is spirit here at Dodger Stadium and Holman Stadium, Vero Beach.
Well, as you know, on ball clubs, many guys play tricks on each other. Jesse tried a trick on a little prank on Kirk. He didn't particularly like it. He was preparing himself for the ball game. He doesn't want anybody to do that to him when he's getting himself ready for the game. He found that out. It's all over. No problem.
What about Mike Marshall and Pedro Guerrero? There's something that's been talked about all last year. They can't get along, etc. You've tried to patch them up and bring them closer.
Absolutely, and I've talked to both of them. Both of them have agreed that they were going to do everything they can to be friends, have one thing in common, and that is a common goal to help this team win in 1988. And I'm very, very proud to hear them both say that.
All right, the Dodgers know about Kirk Gibson and his intensity. They know about Pedro Guerrero and Mike Marshall attempting to make up. Let's find out now about the ball club itself. Are you optimistic?
I'm very optimistic. I'm very, very enthusiastic about the season beginning. We think that we really went out and helped our ball club. We've got some quality players. We went into the free agent market. We signed Kirk Gibson and Mike Davis. I think both of them have tremendous power. They can add a lot to our offense. Don Sutton, we're hoping that he's got one good season left in him. We'll find that out. We also acquired some good players in trade in Jesse Orozco, Jay Howe, and Alfredo Griffin. We think our ball club right now is much better than it was at this time a year ago.
It's interesting and perhaps typical of the ball club. It is a newcomer who provides some stability at an infield position. That would be shortstop Alfredo Griffin. The other three positions are somewhat up in the air.
That's true. You know what I like about Alfredo Griffin? The last 6 years, I think, 4 of those 6 years, he played in 162 games, and 1 of the other 2, he played in 158 games. He comes to play. This is what you like to see.
Well, Tommy Lasorda has been coming to spring training since 1949 as a young player, later on as a coach, and now a manager, and a successful manager at that. And I guess to say you're optimistic would be almost redundant with the name Lasorda in spring training.
That's right, Vinny. I really love the way our ball club looks. I like the intensity that they show on the field. They want to win, and I think they believe that they can win, and that's a great attribute for them to have.
Mike, it's a political year. If you were nominated president, who would you pick as a running mate?
I think I'd have to go with Bruce Sutter because there's a lot of split-finger people in the country, and I think that he would carry that vote heavily, and it would definitely serve in our favor.
Desmond Tutu. I like his name.
My son. He'd listen to anything I say.
I think I'll surprise the world and say Whitey Herzog.
Benny Hill. How's that?
I would need one. I wouldn't worry about him trying to take my job.
Eddie Murphy.
I can't even run for president in my country. You're getting political. We can't do that. We can't do that now.
Welcome back. I'm Marv Albert. Now, last year, the American League East race came down to the very last day. The collapse of the Blue Jays helped the Tigers claw their way into the playoffs.
The Toronto Blue Jays played well for most of the 87 season. With a week left, they had the best record in the major leagues. After injuries to Tony Fernandez and Ernie Whitt, they lost their last 7 games. The Tigers won the American League East, and Toronto went home to face a long winter.
Do not mention the word collapse in the spring training home of the Toronto Blue Jays right here in Dunedin, Florida. They don't feel their team collapsed. They feel last season, the 87 season, Tony Fernandez out, Ernie Whitt out, the 3 and 5 hitter. Sparky Anderson was smart enough not to pitch to George Bell. The pitching was good, but the hitting collapsed. But you've got to go back a little farther than that. Remember the 85 season when Dick Hauser's Kansas City Royals were down 3-1? Well, they came back and beat the Toronto Blue Jays. And then in 86, not a very good September for the Toronto Blue Jays as they faded down the stretch even that year. It was a disappointing finish, and the Blue Jays will try to forget 1987.
I don't think it's going to affect this team at all. We had a great year, but a bad week, and that's what it amounts to. We had the second best record in baseball with 96 wins, and
It was frustrating, without a doubt, but I think some key injuries affected this ball club. And I look at it this way. The last 3 years, I think our record in the final week of the season is like 2-20, but yet we've been able to rebound and have good years after that.
I thought we played well. We just came up a little bit short, and if we build on that this year, I think if we get back in that situation again, we'll be a better team because of it.
Toronto players say they have shaken off the physical and emotional scars of last year. A big story out of spring training was the shakeup of the Blue Jays outfield, making George Bell, the American League's most valuable player, a designated hitter.
Jimmy, you made a move that broke up an outfield. Some said it was one of the best outfields ever assembled. Bell, Mosby, Barfield. Why?
Well, first of all, we're not saying that George Bell can't play left field. What we're saying is we would like George Bell to get over 700 plate appearances and not have to worry about day games after night games and doubleheaders and long trips and situations where his knees and his shoulders bother him.
I know we appreciated, this and that ahead of job because a guy like me, go out there and, play the way I play every year. They think because they pay me a lot of money, I gotta sit what they say. They want to keep me on the bench like this and that and stuff like that. And how can you be a leader when you don't feel pretty good doing the job? It's like you put a gun on your head and say, hey, you got to do it. And I can't do it.
Bell has not hidden his displeasure with the organization's move, blasting manager Jimmy Williams and even refusing to DH in one preseason game.
I feel saddened by the ordeal. Not because of me moving to left, not out of personal reasons or not out of greed, not because Bell is moving to DH. I think from a team standpoint, our camaraderie is totally gone. We're hoping that the Toronto Blue Jays can come together, but as of right now, it doesn't seem like it's doing that right now.
George Bell, I think, has every right to be upset because he's played, 4 years of pretty adequate left field for us, and he's done well offensively. And for him to come to spring training after having the MVP of the year and have his job taken away from him, he's got a right to be frustrated. But yet, I don't think he should be knocking the manager. George had a right to say what's on his mind for the first couple of days, but now I think it should pass and let's get on to playing baseball.
And play ball is what the Detroit Tigers will do to defend their American League East title. No one is rocking the boat here, making division rivals green with envy.
We have the best group of people, and I've said this many times. I will let any professional club, let anybody come into their clubhouse, and they'll never match our people. And anybody who's ever been around our club will verify that.
It is hard, though, to verify who will fill Kirk Gibson's role after his sudden departure. And no one knows better than American League MVP runner-up Alan Trammell.
The one thing that we're going to miss most out of Gibby is just being the threat. Every time that he steps up to the plate, he is a threat to hit the ball, the ballpark, or do something exciting. Now, that remains to be seen if we can get somebody to do that for us, but that's the one thing that we're going to miss out of Gibby.
Missing from the top of the AL East standings and headlines in recent years are the New York Yankees. Here's Gail Gardner.
If you had asked a Hollywood scriptwriter to come up with a baseball story of epic proportions, well, that writer would be hard-pressed to create something more fascinating than the New York Yankees over the last 13 years. Take an historic franchise, a one-of-a-kind owner, a one-of-a-kind manager, their stormy love-hate relationship, and you have quite a continuing saga. Chapter 5 is currently underway, and the hope is that there could possibly be a successful, and dare we even say it, happy ending.
I'm a very aggressive manager. I'm not afraid to make a mistake and live and die in my own convictions, but I'm not going to die in somebody else's convictions.
Billy Martin is back and playing by his rules. The coaches are hand-picked and the owner is hands-off. Billy and George, baseball's extraordinary soulmates, constantly drawn to each other in the face of volatile and often self-destructive tendencies.
I love his tenacity. I love his bulldog. I love his gunfighter attitude. I want my ball club to be like that. And the people that I have known in the managing, he has no peer. No one is any better between those lines than Billy Martin. He has a natural instinct.
as a manager and as a coach and as an instructor of these players. He seems to know what to expect and anticipate it. The players sense that too. And when they go out there, they know that they'll never be more prepared than they are with Billy at the helm.
When they play on our team, the Yankee team, they play as a team. They don't go their separate ways. We don't have cliques. I have the same rules for all 24, for the guy that makes $60,000 to the guy that makes $3 million. I don't look at the dollars. I look at the man that you will comply to this way. You will wear a shirt and tie. You will wear a jacket. You're representing the city of New York. You're also representing the New York Yankees. And if you don't like the way we have these rules, then we'll be glad to get rid of you.
The Yanks have been doing more adding than getting rid of this offseason, especially to the payroll, aggressively signing their own stars like Don Mattingly and someone else's like Jack Clark, both of whom admit to internal conflicts about performance and feel, yes, they still do have something to prove or overcome. For Clark, it's the injury label. He's already torn a tendon in his left leg this spring, but says dealing with his injury problems is just one part of the larger picture of demonstrating one's value.
There's pressure every game you play anyhow. I mean, every time you're hitting, there's pressure, so I want to, do well anytime I'm up there. And, when you're nervous and there is pressure, that's when you concentrate a little better. And, you're going for that one particular moment that, is memorable, and you are able to come through and get the hit or make the pitch to win the big game.
I think everyone has a fear of failure. That's what drives people to work harder and harder, to be better and better. And there's always times when you're in the middle there where you're afraid of failure. I think a lot of people, you get over it because you be so aggressive and you go out and do the best you possibly can. You lay it on the line. If that's not good enough, it's not good enough to me. But there's always that fear of not being good enough or losing your talent or something like that.
It was the normally reserved Mattingly who actually predicted a world championship for the Yankees in '88, a goal few of these Yankees have attained, and many realize the years are starting to pass them by.
Myself, Mattingly, Pagliarulo, people like that, Henderson, we're kind of in about the same age bracket, and it's about time we've learned how to win, but never got to the ultimate goal, as you said. I've been there and lost in '81, and I'd like to get back. I think a guy like Winfield wants to go out a winner here in New York. It would make him feel fantastic and get a lot of weight off his back because he's been a hell of a player that's never really been appreciated, I think. And I think he needs to have a championship to be considered a winner.
Well, I appreciate that, really, that people would wish a championship for Dave Winfield. Dave Winfield's out there trying hard every year, doing whatever it takes, getting cut up, beat up, banged up, talked about. Man, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it every year.
Will Billy and George survive Chapter 5? Will megabuck stars handle new roles and lineup changes? Will baseball's oldest starting rotation not show its age? Will '88 bring back pinstripe pride?
And a major factor revolves around the desire of George Steinbrenner to trade Dave Winfield because George is upset with various controversial statements made by Winfield concerning Steinbrenner and the Yankees in a book that will be released next week. We'll be back with the changing world of baseball after this. Once again, here's Dick McCormick.
Some folks say the more things change, the more things tend to stay the same. When things change, things feel strange, and some things never change, it's true. Then again, some things do. Dwight Gooden has changed his name to Doc. The Yanks must show blue on their socks. Olympics took our George away. Bo Jackson's even changed his game, but some things never change. George Brett still swings with a mighty will. Darryl Strawberry's still uphill. Morgana's out there kissing still. Some things never change, it's true. Then again, some things do. Jackson and Garvey both retired. Wrigley Field is finally wired. Davis is a Superman. Horner's come back from Japan, but some things never change. Steve Carlton won't talk to anyone. Ferraro and Marshall feuding on. Whitey and Marv ain't talking yet, and everyone still hates the Mets. Some things never change, it's true. Then again, some things do. Butler's gone to the Frisco Bay as Chili Davis went away. Ex-twin Baylor's with the A's. Gibson's traveled to L.A. Gossage left old San Diego. Jack Clark's now the Yankees' man. Lee Smith is eating beans and clams. To the A's, Dave Parker goes. Tired of fighting with Pete Rose. Bob Welch also joins the A's, but some things never change. Bad pennies turning up again. The cyclical fortunes of recycled men. Lousy weather on opening day. Organ music at Fenway. The thrill a Grand Slam homer brings. It still ain't over till the fat lady sings. And baseball's still our favorite game. Some things never change.
The biggest change in baseball this season is the proposed addition of lights to Wrigley Field. Other changes in Chicago include new manager Don Zimmer, who's looking to light a fire beneath the Cubs.
Playing against the Cubs the last year and a half, it looked like a club that was going through the motions. We want this ball club to leave here to go to Atlanta opening day thinking that we can beat somebody, because I think there's enough talent here to win a lot of ball games.
And the question in the bullpen is whether Goose Gossage can fill the big shoes of Lee Smith.
I'm Goose, and I came over here, and wherever I've been is to do a job, and that's the short man in the bullpen. And really coming over here, I'm very happy to have my job back. You know, I've got a lot of experience behind me. I think I still have my good fastball, and I think that's really going to help us out.
How is this spring training different for you? It's different because I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm at. Left field. I got a feeling one of these days the ball going to hit me in the head, Tony. And when it does, I'll be finished.
Bob, from a personal standpoint, the difference in you coming to spring training this year is last year?
Well, this year we had to rent a house with a whirlpool bath and a master bedroom. Every year you get older, it seems like it takes longer for the aches and pains to leave your body, and you know, the old used car's got a lot of miles on it, so a whirlpool bath was the primary concern this year in renting a house.
One of the most intense rivalries in baseball over the last few years has been between the Cardinals and the Mets in the National League East. Here's Bob Costas with the defending National League champions.
With the potent bat of Jack Clark leading the way, the Cardinals played great ball in the first half of the '87 season and built a big lead by the All-Star break. Eventually, it dwindled to a game and a half with Clark sidelined most of September. But they held off a late charge by the Expos and Mets and won the National League East. Without Clark in the playoffs, they were down to San Francisco 3-2, but rallied to take the last two in St. Louis and moved to the World Series against the surprising Twins. There, Terry Pendleton joined Clark on the sidelines, and the Cards finally ran out of gas at the Metrodome. The Cardinals have never been favored to win in years they have won, nor have they been favored to defend the year after. All they do is go out and win, confounding the experts. The consensus is that the White Rat is baseball's best manager. He won 3 consecutive division titles with Kansas City, had the best record in the National League East in the split season of '81, and won pennants in '82, '85, and '87 for the Cards. Prior to the '85 season, the Cardinals lost Bruce Sutter, then the National League's top reliever, to free agency, but the resourceful Herzog led them to the pennant. Now it's Jack Clark who's been removed from their roster. Even Herzog can't pull rabbits out of his hat indefinitely.
I get a kick out of some of the fans. You know, when we lost Jack, they said, "Oh, we'll be all right." You know, and I said, "Yeah, we'll be all right." I mean, you know, but you can't continue to lose good ball players and, you know, not replace them with people. If you make a trade, at least you get somebody back. And we've lost 2 superstars in Jack Clark and Sutter. And when you do that and get nothing in return, it makes it awful tough.
If the Cardinals were managed by almost anyone else, the loss of Jack Clark would have people writing them off. But this spring, the prevailing wisdom seems to be, Whitey will think of something.
Yeah, they're going to do just fine. They still have a good young team, solid team, and, you know, Whitey always seems to manage to, you know, pull something out of his hat. So he's just a good guy to play for. He's one of the best managers in the game.
Well, it's my opinion he's the best manager in baseball. I know when I played for him, he made some moves that, you know, I never really gave managing much thought, but he made some moves when I played for him that you sit there and you'd have to take notice. These were the right moves to make. I mean, he was the one guy that really kind of rang a bell in my head as So this is what managing is all about.
After losing Clark, the Cardinals made the best of a bad situation by picking up Bob Horner. Herzog's initial reaction was anything but enthusiastic. He was critical of Horner, saying he wouldn't fit in with the Cardinals. Whitey has since changed his tune, and Horner feels fine about it.
And had a long conversation with him, and was very satisfied that he wanted me here. He's just frustrated with, anytime you lose your fourth-place hitter, you just come off a World Series year, you got a right to be mad.
Historically and at present, the Cardinals are one of baseball's great franchises. 3 pennants in this decade, and 3 million fans through the gates a year ago at Busch Stadium. But even as defending champions, they know they're underdogs.
I guess when you have a pitching staff and a team like the New York Mets, it's understandable, and being in the media city that they are in, it's just something we've got to live with.
We've never been favored, and especially the last 4 years, the Mets have been favored every year, and they're heavily favored again, and rightly so. I'd just like to go out this year, and if my ball club one time we could put our lineup on the field every day, and I know that I could pitch the people I wanted to every day, I like our chance a little bit.
Once again, the Mets are favored to win the National League East, but the question is, will turmoil off the field affect their performance on it? And on the field, the Mets are tearing up the Grapefruit League. What many consider to be the best pitching staff in baseball is healthy. The hitting is with power. But once again, Darryl Strawberry has rocked the clubhouse, this time with criticism of his teammates.
I was hurt by it because in my whole life I've never been a quitter. Darryl coming out with the comments that he did, whether or not they really did come from his mouth or not, is something that we'll never know 100%. He said to me face to face that he never said those things. As far as I'm concerned, it's over and done with, and I'm just looking for this season.
Sometimes Darryl doesn't think that when it comes out and it makes the big story, he's very apologetic. I know the first day it came out, he came right to me first and apologized.
I wasn't saying anything to hurt anybody. I was explaining on what happened last year. Questions was asked about certain guys, what happened to certain guys last year, why didn't they play well. I said, well, maybe they was having bad years, maybe they was having problems. Who knows, what was going on. I mean, you can't, point fingers at guys and say, well, this guy didn't do this and he didn't do that. See, I'm not that type of person. I wouldn't do that to my teammates because we're in this together.
For two of the Mets' former All-Stars, 87 was an off year statistically. Both Gary Carter and Keith Hernandez now must listen to the whispers that they're getting old.
Any player that gets, like I'm 34, any player when he gets older, those questions always are inevitably going to come up. I don't feel I have anything to prove, but I use it as a motivational factor. I've been lifting weights and working out yearly now for 2 years.
I have felt probably the best I've felt in about 4 years, and it's a nice feeling because I don't have the kind of aches and pains that I've been experiencing in the past couple of years. So I've just got a great optimistic outlook for this year.
They're great players. It seems that if they don't have a great year, they're on the downside. But as far as I'm concerned, they're still in their prime.
Also under pressure is rookie shortstop Kevin Elster, who had a good taste of the big leagues in 1986, taking home a World Series ring. Elster remembers the pressures and his biggest fears.
Making errors. Going in the World Series Game 7 and making an error and screwing up for those guys, because I felt that, I didn't get them there, but I could screw it up for them. I could make everything bad. So my biggest fear was going out and making an error.
Do you feel pressure?
Oh, definitely. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a team full of stars, and I don't feel I have to do a whole bunch, but just be out there, do what I can do, play defense, and I think everything's going to click. And as time goes on, I'm going to be able to hit, and big part of the club.
2 years ago, I thought he could, be an Alan Trammell type player. Got a little stronger, and he kept progressing, and certainly last year the numbers he put up in Tidewell were phenomenal. He had 308 and drove in about 70-some runs.
Manager Dave Johnson is also under the gun, a feeling that has become routine for the Mets in demanding New York.
As far as I'm concerned, I'm like anybody else. I'm like a first-year manager. I don't win, they have a right to hang me up. Ralph Houk warned me, when we won it. He said, I really messed up, now because I'm going to have to win it every year, otherwise I'm going to be an underachiever, and that's the nature of the business.
Season is that it starts with a clean slate. What went before doesn't matter. The future is anyone's guess. Spring training is like the overture to a musical that sets the tone, gets you in the mood for the drama that is about to unfold. The curtain goes up for this 1988 baseball season this Monday. Enjoy the show.
NBC Sports Spring Special, Baseball 88, A Fresh Start, has been brought to you by Acura, precision-crafted performance exclusively at your Acura dealer. By Noxzema Shave Cream, who can resist a clean, close Noxzema shave? Noxzema, the irresistible shave. By Kentucky Fried Chicken, we do chicken right. And by Armor All Protectant, it protects and beautifies every time you wash your car.
The old Tom Kelly theory, one game at a time.
You've got a burger
I guess that was fun.
Yeah! Yeah, I got it today.